unexplainable memories that aren't from this life. Have you ever remembered something so clearly, yet there's absolutely no way it could have happened to you? Maybe it's a quiet scene, a cobblestone street at sunset, the sound of wooden cartwheels, the smell of fresh bread from a tiny bakery. It feels so real you could almost reach out and touch it. But there's one problem: you've never been there. In this life, at least. This is one of the most intriguing signs that you might have lived before. Memories that don't seem to belong to your current life at all. These moments often come unexpectedly. You could be walking down a modern street and suddenly feel a strange pull. Your mind drifts somewhere else. Maybe you see a familiar building, but you know you've never set foot there before. Or perhaps you're visiting a new city for the first time, yet every turn and every corner feels familiar, almost like coming home. Psychologists sometimes call these false memories, but spiritual traditions have another name: fragments of a past life breaking through. These memories don't always appear as complete stories. Sometimes they're just flashes. The sight of an old lantern in an antique shop might bring a sudden rush of emotion. A certain type of fabric or clothing might feel oddly familiar, like you've worn it before. Even a scent, the warm spice of cinnamon or the salty air of the sea, might feel like a door opening to another time. And it's not just about places or objects. Sometimes the memories come in the form of events, moments you could swear you've lived through. You might picture yourself standing in a candlelit room or working on something with your hands, painting, building, writing, but you have no idea why that scene feels so familiar. Science tends to explain these moments as imagination mixed with real-life experiences. But here's the curious thing. Many people who experience these flashes find that they match details from actual historical periods or locations, details they had no prior knowledge of. For example, you might dream of walking through a particular village layout, only to later discover that such a place really exists. Or you might feel comfortable using certain tools, cooking certain dishes, or speaking certain words, all without having learnt them in this life. What makes these unexplainable memories so fascinating is how personal they feel. They are not like a story you've read or a movie you've seen. They carry a strange emotional weight, like a distant echo of something important. And often they come with an odd mixture of comfort and longing. Comfort, because the memory feels familiar. Longing, because it feels just out of reach, as if you left something unfinished there. Many people who experience these memories don't talk about them. They might brush them off as imagination or fear being misunderstood. But if you've ever had one of these moments, you know just how real they can feel. And perhaps they are real. Perhaps these memories are like tiny threads connecting us to the tapestry of our other lives. If you've experienced unexplainable memories like these, you might notice they often resurface during moments of stillness, while traveling, meditating, or even just drifting off to sleep. That's because when the mind relaxes, the walls between the present and the past can thin, just enough for a fragment to slip through. Some people keep journals to record these moments, writing them down as soon as they appear. Over time, patterns can emerge. Similar places, recurring faces, repeated emotions. And whether these patterns are pieces of a past life or just the imagination, they hold meaning for you. So the next time you experience a memory that doesn't seem to fit your current life, pause for a moment. Don't push it away. Let yourself explore it. Ask yourself, why does this feel so familiar? Why does it matter to me? These unexplainable memories might be more than daydreams. They could be whispers from another time, another life you've lived before. And sometimes, simply acknowledging them is enough to bring a surprising sense of peace, like reconnecting with an old friend you didn't realize you'd missed. A strong sense of déjà vu. Have you ever walked into a place for the very first time, but it feels like you have been there before? The walls seem familiar. The sound of the air feels the same. Even the way the light falls across the room seems like something you have already seen. This strange and sudden feeling is what we call déjà vu. It can happen anywhere, in a busy street, in a quiet room, while talking to someone new, or even while traveling to a place you have never been before. And when it happens, it feels like a short moment, a flash of recognition, like your life is on repeat for just a few seconds. For most people, déjà vu is something they laugh off, a strange little moment, then it passes, but for some it feels much deeper. It happens often, and each time it carries a strange pull, like there is something more behind it. Some believe that déjà vu is not just a trick of the brain. They see it as a sign, a quiet reminder that you might have walked this path before in another life. Imagine this. You're in a small cafe in a city you have never visited. You're waiting for your coffee when suddenly you feel it. The same smell of roasted beans, the same sound of a spoon tapping against a mug, the same soft sunlight pouring in through the window, and you are sure you have experienced this before. But how could you? In this life you have never been here. Moments like this make you wonder, is this memory from a dream? Or is it from a time before this life? Déjà vu is often linked to past lives because of how real it feels. It is not like a memory of a dream which fades and becomes blurry. It feels like something you have lived through. And in that short moment, there is a strange comfort. It's as if your soul is whispering, I know this place, I have been here before. Some people experience déjà vu when meeting new people. You shake hands with someone for the first time, yet there is a strange feeling of recognition. Their smile, their voice, their energy, it all feels familiar. It's not that you have met them before in this life, it's something deeper. A connection that might go back to another time, another life, another story that your soul remembers. Others feel déjà vu in nature. You might stand on a hill and feel like you know the exact view before you. You might walk through a forest and feel like you could find your way blindfolded. You might stand by the ocean and feel like you've been here, watching the same waves long ago. These moments bring a strange sense of peace. It's almost like your soul has returned to a place it once called home. Scientists try to explain déjà vu as a mix-up in the brain. They say your mind processes a new moment as if it is an old one, creating a false feeling of familiarity. And maybe they are right, but it does not explain why some déjà vu moments feel so heavy with emotion, why they feel so personal. If it were just the brain making a mistake, why would certain moments bring tears, warmth, or even a deep calm? When déjà vu happens, pay attention to how it makes you feel. Sometimes there is a reason your soul wants you to notice a moment. It might be a gentle reminder. It might be a connection to someone. Or it might simply be your soul's way of saying you are on the right path. The next time you feel déjà vu, do not brush it off. Pause for a moment. Let yourself feel it. Look around. Notice the details, the sounds, the smells, the people, the air. You might not get an answer right away, but that feeling is not random. Perhaps it is a quiet echo from a life you have lived before. Instant connections with strangers. Have you ever met someone for the very first time, but it felt like you already knew them? Maybe it happened at work, maybe in a cafe, or maybe while traveling. You shake their hand, exchange a smile, and suddenly there's a strange feeling. It's as if your heart already recognizes them, even though your mind says this is the first meeting. This is what people call an instant connection. Instant connections can feel warm, safe, and easy. The conversation flows naturally. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to pretend to be someone else. It's as if this person understands you without effort. And sometimes the bond feels so natural that you wonder, have we met before? In this life, maybe you haven't. But some believe these connections are not random. They might be a sign that you knew this person in another time, another life. It's as if your souls recognize each other, even though your current lives are different. Think about a time when you met someone and felt this strange closeness. Perhaps you felt like you could trust them instantly. Perhaps you shared similar thoughts without even trying. Or maybe you both laughed at the same little details, like you had shared memories before. It's a feeling that's hard to explain, yet impossible to ignore. Sometimes these connections are calm and peaceful. It feels like meeting a close friend you have not seen in a very long time. Other times, the connection is powerful and surprising, almost like a sudden wave that catches you off guard. These moments can leave you wondering how it's possible to feel so close to someone you have only just met. Many people believe that these instant connections happen because of unfinished bonds from past lives. Perhaps in another time you were friends, family, partners, or even strangers who shared a meaningful moment. That bond might have carried forward, and now, in this life, your paths have crossed again. It's also possible that these connections happen because certain souls travel together through different lives. Some people call them soul groups. They believe that we meet the same souls again and again, in different forms, at different times. That's why you might feel like you've known someone forever, even though you have only just met in this life. Not every instant connection is meant to last forever. Sometimes these people appear in your life for only a short while. They might teach you something, help you in a moment of need, or simply remind you of who you are, and then they move on. But the memory of that bond stays with you. it's important to notice how these connections make you feel. Do they bring peace? Do they inspire you? Do they feel like a missing piece of your story? These feelings are not random. They are clues, small signs that there might be more to your connection than just this life. When you meet someone and feel this instant bond, take a moment to appreciate it. You don't have to rush to explain it. You don't have to prove it. Just notice how natural it feels. Sometimes, the most meaningful connections cannot be explained by logic. They are felt in the heart. So the next time you meet someone and feel that strong pull of familiarity, remember this. It might not be the first time your souls have met, and maybe it won't be the last. Unnatural fears or phobias with no clear cause. Have you ever been afraid of something but you cannot explain why? It might be a fear of deep water, even though you have never had a bad experience in it. It might be a fear of heights, even though you have never fallen. Or maybe it is a fear of fire, even though you have never been burned. These fears seem to appear from nowhere. They feel real, but there is no clear reason for them in your life. Many people wonder why they carry these fears. Some believe that they could be memories carried over from a past life. Imagine this. In another time, you may have had an experience that was frightening or even dangerous. Your soul might still hold on to that memory, even though your mind in this life cannot see it. This could explain why certain fears feel so deep, even when there is no moment in your life to connect them to. These fears are not always extreme. Sometimes they show up in small ways. You might avoid certain places without knowing why. You might feel uncomfortable near certain objects. Or you might get a strange feeling in certain situations, even when nothing bad is happening. It is like your body remembers something that your mind does not. Science says some fears are passed down for survival. Our ancestors learned to avoid danger, and that instinct still lives in us. But some fears are too specific, too unusual to explain this way. Why would someone feel afraid of a particular bridge they have never crossed? Why would someone feel uneasy around a certain type of tool or a sound or even a smell? Sometimes these fears feel more personal, as if they come from a story we have forgotten. People who believe in past lives think these fears are signs. They suggest that the soul carries lessons, memories, and emotions forward. A fear in this life could be a warning or a reminder from another. It is almost as if the soul is whispering, "Be careful. You've been here before. Not all fears are meant to hold you back. In fact, some can help you grow." By noticing your fears, you can start to understand yourself better. You can ask simple questions. Why does this make me uneasy? What do I feel when I think about it? Is there a memory hiding behind this fear? Sometimes just thinking about these questions can bring a surprising sense of peace. Many people have shared stories of overcoming fears when they explore the idea of past lives. For some, it brings comfort to believe there is a reason behind what they feel. For others, the fear never fully goes away, but it becomes easier to live with once they accept it as part of their soul's journey. The next time you feel an unusual fear, try to pause. Notice it without judgment. It might be telling you something. Whether it comes from this life or another, the fear is part of your story. And every story, every life carries lessons worth learning. So if you carry an unexplained fear, do not be too quick to ignore it. Look at it with curiosity. Perhaps it is a sign, perhaps it is a memory, perhaps it is a quiet reminder that your soul has walked this path before. Dreams that feel more like memories. Have you ever had a dream that felt so real? You woke up feeling like you had truly lived it. The sights, the sounds, the emotions, they stayed with you even after you opened your eyes. And unlike other dreams that fade quickly, this one stayed clear in your mind. It almost felt like you were remembering something that actually happened. Most dreams are strange. They mix places, people, and moments in ways that do not make sense. But sometimes a dream feels different. You might dream of walking down a street you have never seen in this life, yet every corner feels familiar. You might dream of speaking to someone you do not know, yet there is a deep feeling of comfort. These dreams do not feel made up. They feel like pieces of another life, another story. People who believe in past lives think these dreams are small windows into the past. While you sleep, your mind relaxes. The barriers of time feel softer, and in that quiet space, old memories may rise again, disguised as dreams. Some dreams feel like you are living in another time. The clothes, the places, the way people speak. It all feels different from your life now. You might wake up with questions. Why did it feel so real? Why do I remember the details so clearly? And why do I feel such a strong emotions about it? These dreams can leave a deep impression, like you have touched something important from another time. Sometimes these dreams come again and again. You might see the same place more than once. You might meet the same people. Each dream may show a little more of the story, like pieces of a puzzle. It is almost as if your soul is guiding you back to a memory it wants you to see. Other times, the dream comes only once, but it stays with you. You might remember the smell of the air, the sound of the wind, or the feeling of the ground beneath your feet. It feels less like a dream and more like a memory from another life. Science explains dreams as the brain sorting through thoughts and emotions. But there are times when the details of a dream cannot be explained by experience in this life. Why would someone dream of a place they have never studied, yet describe it perfectly? Why would someone dream of events that match real history they never learned about? These moments make people wonder if dreams can be more than just imagination. If you have dreams that feel like memories, it can help to keep a dream journal. Write down what you see, what you feel, and any details you remember. Over time, patterns might appear. You might notice that certain places, objects, or people return in your dreams. You might even start to see how they connect to each other. These dreams are not always about the past. Sometimes they bring lessons or emotions meant to help you in this life. They might remind you of strengths you have carried over from another time. Or they might help you heal from old fears. The next time you wake up from a dream that feels more like a memory, take a moment to sit with it. Do not rush to forget it. Notice how it makes you feel. It could be more than a dream. It could be a piece of your soul's story, one that has been waiting for the quiet of sleep to remind you. Unusual talents or skills with no training. Have you ever been able to do something well, even though you have never been taught how? Maybe you can play a musical instrument the very first time you touch it. Maybe you can paint, write, or create art without ever taking a class. Or maybe you can cook a dish perfectly the first time you try. These skills feel natural, like they're already a part of you. It's as if you have known them for a long time, even though this is your first time trying. Most people spend years learning a skill, but there are some people who seem to have a gift right from the start. They do not struggle through the basics. They pick things up quickly, as if they are simply remembering instead of learning. This is one of the reasons some believe in past lives. They think these talents are not new. They are memories from another life carried forward in the soul. Imagine someone who can sit at a piano and play a song without sheet music, or someone who can speak words from another language without studying, or someone who understands how to build or fix something without any training. It feels as if they have done it before, just not in this lifetime. These natural skills can appear in many areas. They might be creative, like music, painting, or writing. They might be physical, like dancing, sports, or working with your hands. Or they might be mental, like solving problems, remembering details, or understanding ideas quickly. No matter what the skill is, the feeling is the same. It feels familiar. It feels comfortable. Science sometimes calls this natural talent or genetic memory. But it is hard to explain how someone can know things they have never been exposed to in this life. Why would a child understand complex music without lessons? Why would someone be able to carve, sew, or design without training? These questions make people wonder if the answer is something deeper. Those who believe in past lives say that skills can carry over. A painter in one life may still feel the pull of art in the next. A builder, a singer, a healer, their gifts may show up again, ready to be used in a new story. Sometimes these skills come to us not only for joy, but also for purpose. They might be connected to something we are meant to do in this life. You might notice these talents appearing early. Maybe as a child you felt drawn to a certain activity, or maybe later in life you picked up something new and it felt surprisingly easy. When this happens, it is worth paying attention. It could be a sign of something you have carried with you across time. These unusual talents are not just about ability. They also bring a feeling of connection. When you do this skill, you feel at peace, you feel like yourself. Oh, it feels like coming home. That comfort can be a clue. It might be your soul remembering a gift it has used many times before. If you have a talent that comes easily to you, do not ignore it. Practice it. Explore it. It might be a tool you brought with you into this life for a reason. Even if you do not fully understand where it comes from, it can still bring meaning, joy, and purpose. So the next time you surprise yourself by doing something well, without any training, pause for a moment. Notice how natural it feels. It could be more than just talent. It could be a sign, a memory from a life you have already lived. A natural attraction to certain cultures or eras. Have you ever felt drawn to a time in history that you have never lived in? Maybe you are fascinated by ancient temples, old castles, or historic cities. Maybe you feel a strange connection to a culture far from where you were born. The food, the music, the clothing, it all feels familiar and comfortable, as if it is already part of you. This kind of attraction can be more than just interest. For some, it feels like home. Most people enjoy learning about history, but for some, there is one specific time or place that feels special. It feels different from all the others. You might feel deeply connected to a culture's traditions. You might love its stories, songs, or art without knowing why. You might even feel emotional when you see photos or hear music from that place. This can be a sign that your soul has a memory there from a life long ago. Imagine someone who feels an intense pull toward ancient Egypt, even though they have never been there. Or someone who feels at peace when walking through the streets of an old European town for the first time. Or someone who feels at home in a culture they have only just discovered. It is not always about knowledge. It is about a feeling, and feelings like this are powerful. Some believe these feelings are the result of past lives. The soul carries memories, not just of people, but of places. A life spent in a certain culture or time can leave an emotional imprint that travels forward into the next life. That could be why you are drawn to a specific era, style of music, or way of life. It could be your soul remembering where it has been before. This attraction can show up in many ways. You might collect art, clothing, or objects from a certain culture. You might feel a need to learn the language, even if it is not common where you live. You might enjoy reading books or watching films set in that time or place over and over. And sometimes, when you finally visit that place, you feel an overwhelming sense of belonging. Science might say this is simply personal taste. People enjoy what interests them. But for those who feel a deep emotional pull, it can be hard to believe it is just taste. Why would a person feel homesick for a place they have never been? Why would someone feel comfort in the traditions of a culture they were not raised in? These are the questions that lead many to think about past lives. Some call this feeling soul memory. The idea that your soul remembers a place even when your mind does not. And sometimes it is not just one place or one time. You might feel drawn to several cultures or eras, as if your soul has traveled through many different lives and carries pieces of each. If you feel this pull toward a certain culture or time, it can be meaningful to explore it. Read about its history, listen to its music, visit its places if you can. Even if you cannot explain why it matters to you, following that feeling can bring a sense of peace. It can feel like reconnecting with a part of yourself that you had forgotten. So if a certain culture or time feels like home, pay attention. It might be more than just interest. It might be a quiet reminder of a life your soul has already lived. And when you honor that connection, you may feel closer to a part of yourself that has been with you for a very long time. Recurring symbols or numbers in life. Have you ever noticed the same symbol or number appearing in your life over and over again? It could be a shape and a sign, a word, or a certain number that seems to show up when you least expect it. You see it on clocks, on receipts, in dreams, or in random places. At first, it feels like a small coincidence. But when it keeps happening, you start to wonder if it means something more. For many people, recurring symbols or numbers feel like messages. Some believe they are signs from the universe. Others see them as reminders from the soul. And for those who believe in past lives, these patterns might be connections to another time, another story. Numbers and symbols have been important to humans for thousands of years. In different cultures, certain numbers are linked to luck, protection, or balance. Symbols can carry deep meaning too. A feather, a spiral, a certain flower. These can all mean different things in different times and places. If you're seeing the same one again and again, it could be a sign that it has meaning for you, perhaps even from a life before this one. Sometimes the connection feels emotional. You might see a certain number and feel comfort or peace. You might notice a symbol and feel a strange pull, even though you cannot explain why. These feelings are clues. They can be the soul's way of reminding you of something important. For example, you might keep seeing the same number on the clock each day. You might notice it in addresses, on tickets, or in random places. Or you might dream of the same image again and again, a bird, a tree, a doorway. At first, you might think it is random, but over time, you might start to see a pattern. Science often calls these moments coincidence. The mind notices what it wants to notice. But sometimes the timing feels too perfect. The number or symbol appears just when you're thinking about something important. It shows up during moments of change, or when you're searching for answers. This is why many people believe these patterns are more than chance. Those who believe in past lives say these numbers and symbols could be reminders from another time. Perhaps they were important to you in a past life. Perhaps they mark lessons or promises that have carried forward. The soul could be showing you the same signs now to guide you, to keep you on the right path, or to help you remember something you once knew. If you notice the same number or symbol appearing again and again, try to pay attention to what is happening in your life at that moment. Are you making a big decision? Are you feeling uncertain about something? Are you starting a new path? These signs often appear during moments when the soul is speaking to you. Keeping a small journal can help. Write down each time you notice the number or symbol. Over time, you may start to see a pattern. You might notice it appears when you're moving in the right direction, or you might notice it shows up when you need reassurance. These recurring numbers and symbols are personal. They do not always have the same meaning for everyone. The most important thing is how they make you feel. If they bring comfort, hope, or direction, then they are serving their purpose. So the next time you see the same number or symbol again, pause for a moment. Notice how it feels. It could be more than a random detail. It could be a gentle sign from your soul, a memory carried from another life reminding you that you have been on this path before. An overwhelming connection to certain places. Have you ever visited a place for the very first time yet felt like you were coming home? Maybe it was a city, a small village, a stretch of beach, or even a forest path. The moment you arrived, a strange feeling washed over you. You felt safe, you felt calm, you felt like you belonged there. This powerful sense of connection can be more than simple excitement. For some, it feels as like the soul recognizing a place it has known before. Most people enjoy traveling, but this is different. It is not about how beautiful the place looks, it is about the deep comfort it brings, almost like a memory hidden inside you. You might walk through a street and feel like you know every turn. You might stand in a quiet spot and feel waves of emotion for no clear reason. You might even sense that you could live there easily, as if you already have. Many believe this feeling comes from past lives. The idea is that the soul carries memories of places it once called home. When you return to one of these places in a new life, the soul recognizes it, even if the mind does not. That could explain why certain locations feel so familiar, even though it is your first visit. This connection does not always happen in faraway lands. It can happen close to home. You might find yourself drawn to a certain park, an old building, or a quiet road you have never traveled before. And when you stand there, something about it just feels right. Sometimes the connection is peaceful. The place feels like a safe space where you can rest. Other times, the connection is emotional. The place might make you feel joy, sadness, or even longing, as if it holds a story you cannot quite remember. These emotions can be clues. They may be your soul reacting to a place that was important in another life. Science often explains these feelings as familiarity. Maybe the style of the buildings, the smell of the air, or the way the place looks reminds you of something from your current life. But for those who feel a strong, unshakable connection, it is hard to accept that it is only about looks. Why does your heart race in a place you have never seen? Why does it feel like home when you know you have no history there? Some who believe in past lives think that visiting these places can bring healing. The soul might be reconnecting to old memories, letting go of old emotions, or finding peace with a chapter from long ago. This is why some people feel lighter or calmer after spending time in a place that feels deeply familiar. If you feel a strong pull toward a certain place, pay attention. You do not always need a reason to feel connected. Sometimes it is enough to accept the feeling. You can explore the place, walk through its streets, sit quietly and listen to the sounds around you. Notice what emotions rise within you. These small moments can help you feel closer to yourself and your soul's story. Even if you cannot visit a place physically, you might still feel a connection to it. Photos, books, music, or even dreams can carry the same energy. The important thing is how it makes you feel inside. So the next time you arrive somewhere new and feel a wave of recognition, pause for a moment. It could be more than just a nice trip. It could be your soul remembering a home from another time. Feeling older than your age. Have you ever felt older than the people around you, even if you are the same age? Maybe you notice it in the way you think. You might have deeper thoughts, see life in a calmer way, or understand things others your age are still figuring out. People might even tell you that you seem more mature or wise. This feeling of being older than your age can be a quiet sign of a soul that has lived many lives. It is not about your physical age, it is about the way you see and experience the world. You might have a patience that others lack. You might avoid drama, choose peace and look for meaning in life instead of only fun. It can feel like you're walking through life with knowledge you cannot explain. Some call this being an old soul, then it is the sense that you have seen and felt more than your current life could teach you. Those who believe in past lives say this wisdom comes from experiences carried over from before. Your soul has learned many lessons, and now, in this life, that wisdom shows itself early. You might notice this feeling in small ways. Perhaps you enjoy quiet moments more than big crowds. Perhaps you think about deeper topics like purpose, kindness, and the meanings of life. Or perhaps you feel more comfortable with people who are older than you because you connect with their way of thinking. These are signs of a soul that has been here before. Sometimes feeling older than your age also means you see life from a bigger picture. You might not get caught up in small problems. You might accept change more easily, knowing that life moves in cycles. This calm understanding is often a sign of wisdom built over many lifetimes. Science might say this comes from personality, upbringing, or the way you were raised. But for those who have felt this all their lives, it feels like more than just personality. Why do some people seem to carry a deep sense of patience from childhood? Why do they feel at home in quiet, thoughtful spaces when they are still young? These questions make many believe the answer could be connected to the soul's age. Being an old soul can also bring challenges. You might sometimes feel out of place among people your own age. You might feel lonely when others cannot understand your perspective. But this difference can also be a strength. It means you have the wisdom to guide yourself, even when the world feels uncertain. If you feel older than your age, it can help to spend time with people who understand and respect your way of thinking. You might find comfort in books, art, nature, or conversations that speak to your deeper self. These are ways to honor the wisdom you carry. Feeling older than your age does not mean you cannot enjoy life. It simply means you approach life with a quiet understanding. You see beyond the moment. You notice the lessons in each experience. That is the gift of a soul that has walked many paths before. So the next time someone tells you that you seem wiser than your years, smile. It might be more than just maturity. It might be a sign that your soul has lived many lives, gathering wisdom that now guides you in this one. Strange physical birthmarks or unusual scars. Have you ever looked at a birthmark or scar on your body and wondered why it is there? Some birthmarks are small and light, others are darker or shaped in unusual ways. Some scars appear without a clear memory of how they happened. Most people think of them as simple marks of the body, but for some, these marks carry a deeper mystery. In many cultures around the world, birthmarks have been linked to past lives. There are old stories that say these marks could show how a person lived, or even how their life ended in another time. It is believed that the soul can carry certain memories forward, and sometimes those memories appear on the body as a physical sign. Imagine someone with a birthmark shaped like a small circle on their chest, or someone with a scar-like mark on their back they have had since birth. For some, these marks line up with memories, dreams, or even fears that cannot be explained by this life alone. These details lead many to wonder if the body sometimes carries reminders of the soul's journey. Birthmarks and unusual scars can appear anywhere. Some people feel no special connection to them, but others feel a strange sense of meaning when they notice theirs. They might feel a sudden emotion when someone points it out. They might have dreams connected to the location of the mark, or they might feel an unexplained reaction when they see a similar mark on someone else. Science explains birthmarks as natural skin changes that happen before birth. Scars can come from injuries that may be forgotten, but these explanations do not cover the unusual cases where marks match experiences the person has never had in this life. Why would a person be born with a mark in the exact spot they feel pain in a dream? Why would someone carry a scar-like line when no injury has ever happened there? These mysteries are part of why some connect them to past lives. In certain spiritual traditions, birthmarks are seen as clues. They are thought to be reminders of lessons, memories, or unfinished stories from another time. If a person has a birthmark in a certain place, it may represent something important from their soul's history. The meaning is not always clear, but the feeling behind it can be strong. Some people have even found that their birthmark connects to a fear, a dream, or a talent. A mark on the hand might link to skills with tools. A mark near the heart might connect to deep emotions. These are not proven facts, but they show how powerful and personal these marks can feel. If you have a birthmark or unusual scar that feels special to you, take a moment to notice how it makes you feel. You do not need to find an exact meaning. Sometimes simply recognizing it as part of your soul's story can bring peace. It is also possible that these marks are here as reminders. They may guide you toward healing, acceptance, or understanding parts of yourself that are hidden. Not every mark carries a deep meaning, but if you feel a strong pull to understand yours, trust that feeling. The soul often communicates in quiet ways, so the next time you look at a birthmark or an unusual scar, pause for a moment. It might be more than just a mark on the skin. It could be a small sign of a journey your soul has taken before, a reminder that this life is part of a much longer story. Unexplained emotional reactions to certain events. Have you ever felt a strong emotion during a moment that seemed small to everyone else? Maybe a movie scene makes you cry more than it should. Maybe a song you have never heard before fills you with deep sadness or joy. Or maybe a news story about a place or event you are not connected to brings you an overwhelming feeling. These emotions can feel sudden, powerful, and hard to explain. For some, these reactions are more than just random feelings. They may be signs of the soul remembering something from another time. Sometimes the heart reacts before the mind can understand. You might not know why you feel the way you do, but the emotion is real. It can feel like it comes from a place deeper than memory, almost like it is carried inside you from long ago. These reactions can happen in many situations. You might feel a strong connection to a certain piece of music, even though it is from a culture or time you have no direct link to. You might feel deeply unsettled by a story about a battle, a tragedy, or an event in history, even though it has nothing to do with your current life. Or you might feel peace, comfort, and a strange sense of belonging when you see certain celebrations or traditions from faraway places. People who believe in past lives say these emotions may come from the experiences the soul has had before. Your soul might have been part of those events, in another life, in another story. This is why the feelings can be so strong. They are not just reactions to what you see now, but echoes of something your soul remembers. Science often says these emotions come from empathy, personality, or imagination. And sometimes that is true. But for people who feel emotions too deep to explain, the idea of a soul memory can feel like a more complete answer. Why would someone cry over a scene in a time or place they know nothing about? Why would someone feel deep fear or joy in a moment that others see as small? These are questions that make many people think about the possibility of past lives. These emotional reactions can also act as guidance. They might point to things your soul still carries, old wounds that need healing, or old joys that bring comfort in this life. If you notice strong feelings toward a certain kind of event, it may be worth exploring why. For example, if you feel peace while watching people sail on the ocean, maybe your soul once found joy on the water. If you feel discomfort when hearing certain sounds or seeing certain places, maybe your soul remembers a harder time connected to them. These emotions do not always bring answers right away, but noticing them is the first step toward understanding their meaning. When these feelings come, it can help to pause and let yourself feel them. Do not rush to ignore them. Write them down if you can. Over time, you may start to see patterns. Certain events may bring the same emotions again and again. These patterns can be clues about what your soul is trying to tell you. Your emotional reactions are personal. They do not need to make sense to anyone else. What matters is how they feel to you. They could be small messages from your soul, reminders that your story is much longer than just this life. So the next time you feel a powerful emotion during a moment that others find simple, pay attention. It could be more than just a random feeling. It could be a quiet echo from a life your soul has already lived. Being drawn to certain historical periods. Have you ever felt a deep pull toward a certain time in history? Maybe it is the way people dressed, the buildings they lived in, or the music they played. Maybe you feel comfort when you read about their way of life. Or maybe you feel a strange sadness when you see how that time ended. This connection can feel more personal than simple interest. It can feel like a memory. Many people enjoy history, but for some, there is one specific period that feels different. It might be the ancient world, the medieval age, the Renaissance, or even a time just a few generations ago. When you learn about it, something in you feels alive. When you see pictures or hear stories, it feels like part of your own life. People who believe in past lives say this connection may be the soul remembering. They believe the soul carries memories of different times and places. When you feel drawn to a certain period, it might be because you lived during it in another life. This could explain why it feels so familiar, even though you have never experienced it in this life. This feeling can show up in many ways. You might enjoy reading books or watching films set in that time. You might collect objects, clothing, or music from that period. You might feel comfortable imagining yourself living in that world. Sometimes you may even feel like you miss it, as if you are longing for a home you cannot return to. It is not always about beauty or romance. Sometimes the time you are drawn to is difficult or dangerous, but something about it still calls to you. This could be because your soul still feels connected to the lessons, people, or experiences from that life. Science might say this interest comes from taste or personality. People enjoy the stories, style, or atmosphere of certain periods. But for those who feel a deep pull, it is hard to see it as just a hobby. Why would someone feel homesick for a time they never lived in? Why would someone feel emotional about events from hundreds of years ago? These questions make many think about past lives. Being drawn to a certain historical period can also bring a sense of belonging. You might feel more like yourself when you think about life in that time. You might feel at peace imagining yourself walking through its streets, wearing its clothing, or taking part in its traditions. It feels natural, as if you are stepping back into a familiar world. This connection can also inspire your life today. You might bring pieces of that time into your home, your work, or your art. You might feel inspired by the values, skills, or beauty of that period. In this way, your attraction to the past becomes a bridge between then and now. If you feel drawn to a certain historical period, it can be meaningful to explore it more deeply. Learn about the lives of the people who lived then. Visit places connected to that time if you can. Listen to its music, read its poetry, or cook its food. You may find that it brings you comfort and a sense of connection. So the next time you feel a pull toward a certain time in history, pay attention. It might be more than simple interest. It might be a quiet memory of a life your soul has already lived. Reoccurring life patterns. Have you ever noticed the same kinds of events happening in your life again and again? Maybe you keep meeting similar types of people. Maybe you face the same challenges in different situations, or maybe certain lessons seem to return, no matter how much you try to move on. These repeating patterns can feel strange. Sometimes they are frustrating, but they may also hold a deeper meaning. Many people believe that life gives us lessons until we learn them. The soul carries wisdom from one life to another. If something is left unfinished in a past life, the same pattern may appear again in the present. This is why some believe these reoccurring events are signs that your soul is still working on something important. Patterns can appear in many parts of life. You might notice similar relationships forming even with completely different people. You might see the same kinds of challenges at work or in personal life. You might find yourself drawn to similar choices even when you try to change. It can feel like life is gently, or sometimes strongly, pushing you toward understanding something. These patterns are not always negative. Sometimes they bring good things like meeting kind people who support you, or finding yourself in situations that help you grow. Other times they can feel heavy, like repeating the same mistake or feeling stuck in the same place. Science explains this as habit and behavior. People often repeat what feels familiar even without realizing it. But for those who notice patterns that feel much bigger than simple habits, the idea of a deeper connection, possibly from past lives, can make sense. Why would the same challenges appear in different forms? Why would the same lessons return even after you think you have moved on? These questions make many people look at life patterns as part of a soul's journey. Some who believe in past lives think these patterns are reminders from the soul. They might guide you toward growth, healing, or a new path. When the pattern finally changes, it could mean the soul has learned what it came here to learn. This is why paying attention to reoccurring events can be so powerful. If you notice patterns in your life, it can help to step back and reflect. Ask yourself what lesson could be hiding in them. Are these situations teaching you patience, trust, or self-worth? Are they showing you how to set boundaries or how to forgive? These questions do not always bring instant answers, but they open the door to understanding. It can also help to write your patterns down. Over time, you may notice a clear thread running through different parts of your life. Seeing the pattern on paper can make it easier to see what your soul might be trying to show you. Reoccurring patterns can feel challenging while you are in them, but they can also bring great strength. Each time they return, you have another chance to respond in a new way. Over time, this can change not just the pattern, but also you. So if you feel like you are living the same story again and again, pause for a moment. Look closely at what keeps returning. It could be more than random chance. It could be a sign that your soul is working through something it has carried from another life. A strong sense of purpose. You can't explain, Have you ever felt like you are here for a reason, even if you cannot explain what that reason is? Maybe you feel a quiet pull inside you, guiding you towards something meaningful. Maybe you feel that your life has a bigger path, even when you do not know where it leads. This strong sense of purpose can feel strange at times, but it can also bring comfort. Many people go through life without thinking much about purpose. They live day by day. But for some, there is a deeper feeling, almost like an invisible thread pulling them toward a certain direction. This feeling can appear at any age. You might sense it as a child or discover it later in life. It is not always clear, but it is always there. People who believe in past lives say this purpose can come from experiences your soul has carried from before. Perhaps there is unfinished work or an important lesson your soul is here to complete. This could explain why the feeling is so strong, even when the reason is unknown. A strong sense of purpose can show up in many ways. You might feel a natural calling toward helping others. You might feel drawn to protect nature, animals, or the environment. You might feel a need to create art, share ideas, or bring people together. These feelings do not always come from outside influence. They often rise from deep within. Sometimes the sense of purpose feels clear. You know what you want to do and you take steps toward it. Other times it feels more like a quiet direction. You do not know the details, but you trust that you are being guided towards something important. Science often explains purpose as personality, upbringing, or personal values. And while these can be part of it, they do not always explain why someone feels such a deep calling without any clear reason. Why would someone feel they are meant to help others, even when nothing in their life points to it? Why would someone feel pulled toward a dream that has no connection to their current path? These questions make many believe the answer could be found in the soul's history. This deep sense of purpose can also bring strength in hard times. When life feels uncertain, that inner pull can remind you to keep moving forward. Even when you do not have all the answers, you trust that you are walking the path you are meant to walk. If you feel a strong purpose you cannot explain, it can help to listen closely to it. Notice what brings you peace, energy, and meaning. These may be clues to what your soul is here to do. You do not need to have all the details right away. Purpose is not always about one big goal. Sometimes it is about the way you live every day, the kindness you show, the work you do, and the love you give. Your sense of purpose may change over time, but the feeling beneath it stays the same. That quiet knowing inside you is the soul's way of guiding you. So if you feel like you are here for a reason, trust that feeling. It might be more than just hope or imagination. It might be your soul remembering a path it has walked before and reminding you of the work it came here to do. Wisdom or knowledge you've never learned. Have you ever known something without being taught it? Maybe you give advice that surprises even you. Maybe you understand life in a way that feels deeper than your age or experience. Or maybe you simply know how to handle situations without having gone through them before. This quiet knowledge can feel natural, but also mysterious. Many people gain wisdom from experience. They learn through time, practice, and challenges. But some people seem to carry wisdom with them from the start. They have a calm way of seeing life. They understand truths about kindness, patience, and balance without needing to be told. They can guide others without formal training. People who believe in past lives say this wisdom is carried by the soul. The lessons learned in other lifetimes are not lost. They remain as quiet knowledge that shows up in the next life. This could explain why some people appear wise far beyond their years. This wisdom can appear in many ways. You might have a natural understanding of people and emotions. You might sense when a choice feels right or wrong, even without clear evidence. You might understand deep truths about life, change, or growth without needing long explanations. It can feel like you are remembering rather than learning. Sometimes this knowledge surprises even you. You might find yourself speaking words that feel familiar, but that you have never read or studied. Or you might have sudden clarity about a situation, as if a light has turned on in your mind. These moments can feel like reminders from a deeper part of yourself. Science might explain this as intuition, natural intelligence, or observation. And while these are true for some, they do not always explain why certain people carry deep understanding from a young age. Why would someone know lessons about patience, love, or forgiveness before they have lived through those experiences? Why would someone seem to understand life's bigger picture without being taught? These questions lead many to think of wisdom as something the soul carries. This knowledge is not just about facts or skills. It is often about understanding the heart of things. It is about seeing connections between people, events, and seeing life's patterns. This is why many people with deep wisdom also feel calm in situations where others feel lost. They are not guessing. They are remembering what their soul has already learned before. If you carry wisdom that surprises you, it can help to trust it. Use it to guide your choices and to support others when they need it. This wisdom is a gift, and it can bring meaning and clarity to your path. It is also a reminder to stay open. Wisdom grows each time you live, and this life will add its own lessons to the knowledge your soul already carries. You may never fully understand where this knowledge comes from, but you can still honor it. You can use it to live with kindness, balance, and purpose. So if you sometimes feel like you know more than you have learned, pause for a moment. It could be more than a simple guess. It could be your soul remembering the truths it has carried through many lives. A calm acceptance of death. Have you ever noticed that you do not fear death the way most people do? Maybe you think about it and feel a quiet peace instead of panic. Maybe you see it as a natural part of life, not as something to run from. This calm acceptance can feel unusual, especially when others avoid even talking about the subject. Most people fear death because it is unknown. They worry about pain, loss, or what comes after. But for some, death feels less like an end and more like a doorway. It feels like a step in a longer journey. People who believe in past lives say this calm acceptance may come from the soul's experience. If your soul has gone through the cycle of life and death many times, it may understand that death is simply part of the process. This acceptance does not mean you want life to end. It simply means you see it as natural. You know that life is precious, but you also understand that everything changes. This way of thinking can bring peace, even in hard moments. A calm view of death can show itself in many ways. You might feel at ease when the topic comes up. You might see death as a return rather than a loss. You might comfort others who are afraid because you see it from a different perspective. This quiet peace can surprise people, but it can also comfort them. Sometimes this acceptance is felt as a deep knowing. You cannot explain exactly why you feel this way. It is just part of you. It might be the soul remembering that life continues in another form, even after the body is gone. Science might explain this peace as personality, faith, or life experience. And while these can play a role, they do not always explain why some people have this calm from a young age. Why would someone who has not faced death directly feel at peace with it? Why would someone see death as natural without being taught? These questions make many people wonder if the answer is carried in the soul. A calm acceptance of death can also change the way you live. You may focus more on enjoying the present moment. You may spend more time on love, kindness, and connection, knowing that life is short but meaningful. This peace can also help you support others during times of loss. Your calm can bring comfort to people who are struggling to understand what has happened. If you feel this calm acceptance, it is not a sign that you value life less. It is a sign that you understand its full circle. You know that beginnings and endings are both part of the journey. This acceptance can be a gift. It can help you live without constant fear. It can help you see beauty in change, and it can remind you to spend your time wisely, knowing that every moment matters. So if you notice that you are not afraid of death, pause and think about why. It might be more than just bravery. It might be your soul remembering what it has already experienced many times before. Instant recognition of people you've just met. Have you ever met someone for the first time yet felt like you already knew them? Maybe their face feels familiar, even though you are sure you have never seen them before. Maybe their voice sounds comforting, or their presence feels safe right away. It is as if your soul recognizes them before your mind can make sense of it. Most people need time to build trust and connection. But sometimes a person enters your life and it feels like you are picking up a conversation you started long ago. The bond forms quickly, almost naturally, with no effort at all. People who believe in past lives say this instant recognition may happen because you have known this person before. Your souls may have shared another life together, as family, friends, or even in a different kind of relationship. That deep connection may return the moment you meet again in this life. This feeling can show up in different ways. You might feel a strange comfort the first time you talk to them. You might sense a deep trust, even without a clear reason. You might feel like you can be yourself around them from the start. Sometimes this connection can grow into a strong friendship, love, or support that feels timeless. Instant recognition does not always mean the relationship will be perfect. It may bring challenges, just as any deep connection can, but it often feels important, as if this person is part of your soul's journey for a reason. Science explains these feelings as chemistry, shared personality, or simply coincidence. And while these can be true, they do not fully explain the sense of familiarity that appears without any shared history. Why does a stranger's voice sound like home? Why does their presence bring peace, as if you have stood together before? These questions make many people believe there is a deeper reason. Some who believe in past lives say these meetings are not random. They are sometimes called soul connections or soul contracts. The idea is that certain souls agree to meet again in different lives to continue learning, supporting, or helping each other grow. That is why the connection can feel so natural, even from the very first moment. If you feel this instant recognition with someone, it can help to pay attention to the relationship. Notice how you feel when you are around them. Notice the emotions, the ease, or even the lessons that come from your connection. You may discover that this bond helps you grow in ways you did not expect. These meetings can also be reminders that life is not just about chance. The people who feel like home may be part of your story across many lifetimes. So the next time you meet someone and feel like you have known them forever, pause for a moment. It might be more than just a friendly feeling. It might be your soul recognizing another soul it has met before in a time beyond memory. Repeating dreams that continue over time. Have you ever had the same dream again and again, over months or even years? Maybe the dream takes you to the same place every time. Maybe you see the same faces, walk the same streets, or live through the same events. The details may change slightly, but the core of the dream stays the same. These repeating dreams can feel powerful and sometimes even real. Most dreams fade quickly after you wake up, but repeating dreams are different. They stay in your mind as if they're trying to tell you something. Sometimes the dream feels pleasant, like a warm memory. Other times it can feel unsettling, as if it is carrying a message that you cannot quite understand. People who believe in past lives say repeating dreams may be memories from another time. Your soul may be showing you pieces of a life you once lived, in the only way it can, through dreams. This could explain why the setting or the people in the dream feel so familiar, even though you have never met them in this life. These dreams can appear in many forms. You might dream of living in a place you have never visited. You might see yourself wearing clothes from another time. You might meet people who feel like family, even though you do not know them when you are awake. Over time, these dreams can create a feeling of connection to a story you cannot fully remember. Science explains repeating dreams as the mind working through emotions, stress, or unresolved thoughts. And while this is true for many dreams, it does not always explain why some dreams carry such strong feelings of familiarity or recognition. Why would you dream about the same place for years, even without any real-life connection to it? Why would the dream feel more like a memory than imagination? These questions lead many to think about past lives. Some people find that their repeating dreams stop once they understand the message behind them. Others continue to have them, as if the soul wants to keep that connection alive. In either case, these dreams often leave a lasting impression. If you have repeating dreams, it can help to write them down. Notice the details, the places, the people, the emotions. Over time, you might see patterns that give you clues about what the dream could mean. These patterns may show you lessons, memories, or connections your soul is trying to bring forward. Repeating dreams can also be a reminder that your story is bigger than just your waking life. They may connect you to the experiences and emotions your soul has carried from before. So the next time you wake from a dream you have had many times before, pause for a moment. It might be more than just your imagination. It might be a memory carried by your soul, returning again and again to remind you of the life you have lived before. Spontaneous understanding of new languages. Have you ever heard a language you have never studied, yet some words feel familiar? Maybe you hear a sentence in a movie or song and somehow understand its meaning. Maybe you see written words in another language and they make sense, even though you never learnt them. This experience can be surprising, and sometimes a little strange. Most people need lessons, practice, and time to understand a new language. But for some, there is an instant connection, like their mind already knows the sounds and patterns. People who believe in past lives say this could be a sign that your soul has spoken this language before. If you lived in another time or place where that language was common, parts of it may remain in your memory. This connection can show up in different ways. You might pronounce certain words perfectly, even without practice. You might understand the meaning of a phrase without translation. You might feel comfortable listening to conversations in that language, even if you cannot explain why. Sometimes it feels almost like remembering rather than learning. Science often explains this as a coincidence, exposure, or natural skill with languages. And while these can be part of the answer, they do not always explain why certain people feel such a deep pull toward a language they have never studied. Why would someone feel an emotional connection to a language from across the world? Why would they recognize words or grammar without practice? These questions lead many to think about past lives. Spontaneous understanding can also bring a sense of belonging. Hearing the language might make you feel at home, even in a place you have never been. It can bring emotions, comfort, nostalgia, or even longing that are hard to explain. This is why some people feel drawn to travel to the places where the language is spoken. They feel a strange connection, as if they are returning to somewhere familiar. If you experience this, it can be helpful to explore it further. Listening to music, watching films, or learning more about the culture may deepen the feeling. You might discover that the connection grows stronger, as if you are unlocking something your soul already knows. This kind of connection can also happen with writing. Some people feel drawn to certain scripts or alphabets. They may recognize symbols or feel comfortable writing characters they have never studied. Again, this may be a sign that the soul is remembering knowledge from another time. Whether you see it as memory or natural skill, this understanding can be a gift. It can open the door to new cultures, friendships, and ideas. It can also remind you that the soul's journey is wide and full of many experiences. So the next time you hear a language you have never learned and feel a spark of recognition, pause for a moment. It might be more than just curiosity. It might be your soul remembering a voice it has spoken with before, in a life beyond this one. Deep empathy beyond normal experience. Have you ever felt the emotions of others so deeply that it almost feels like they are your own? Maybe someone around you is sad and you feel that sadness inside yourself. Maybe someone is joyful and their happiness lifts you in a way that feels powerful. This level of empathy can feel stronger than what most people experience. Empathy is the ability to understand how someone else feels. Most people have it in small amounts, but deep empathy is different. It feels like your heart is directly connected to the hearts of others. People who believe in past lives say this deep connection could be the result of many lifetimes of experiences. Your soul may have lived through many joys and many struggles, which makes you more open to the emotions of those around you. This deep empathy can appear in many ways. You might feel emotional during stories or movies, even when you know they are not real. You might sense when someone is hurting, even if they try to hide it. You might feel the need to comfort people or animals who are in pain. Sometimes it feels less like you are choosing to feel this way, and more like you cannot help it. Science explains strong empathy as sensitivity, emotional awareness, or personality. And while these are true, they do not always explain why some people feel emotion so strongly from a very young age. Why would someone cry over the pain of strangers? Why would someone feel deep grief or joy just by being near another person? These questions make many people think about the soul's longer journey. Deep empathy can be both a gift and a challenge. It allows you to connect with people in meaningful ways. It can make you a source of comfort and understanding, but it can also feel heavy at times because you carry the emotions of others along with your own. If you feel this kind of empathy, it can help to find ways to balance it. Spend time in peaceful places, take breaks when emotions become overwhelming, and remind yourself that you are not responsible for fixing everything. Your empathy is powerful, but it is also important to care for yourself. Many people with deep empathy also feel drawn to help others. They may work in healing, teaching, or creative roles. They may feel that their life's purpose is to bring comfort or kindness to the world. This sense of purpose could also come from the soul's experiences over many lifetimes. Having lived through pain, the soul may now be more focused on compassion. Your empathy can also guide you. When something feels wrong, you sense it. When someone is trustworthy, you feel safe around them. These instincts are often stronger for people with deep empathy. Trusting these feelings can help you make choices that align with your path. So if you feel emotions deeply, more deeply than others around you, it could be more than just sensitivity. It might be your soul remembering the emotions it has carried through many lives and using that knowledge to connect with the world in a meaningful way. Unexplained guilt or regret. Have you ever felt guilt or regret for something even though you have done nothing wrong? Maybe you carry a heavy feeling in your heart that you cannot link to any event in your life. Maybe you feel sad or sorry without knowing why. This can be confusing, especially when there is no clear reason for the emotion. Most guilt comes from actions we have taken or mistakes we have made. But unexplained guilt is different. It feels like it comes from somewhere deeper, almost as if it has been with you for a long time. People who believe in past lives say this feeling could be carried over from another life. Perhaps your soul remembers something that was never resolved. This unexplained guilt can appear in many ways. You might feel sorrow when certain subjects are mentioned, even if they have nothing to do with your life. You might feel a need to make up for something you cannot name. You might avoid certain actions as if you are afraid of repeating a mistake you cannot remember. These feelings can weigh on you, even if you do not understand their source. Science explains guilt as a mix of personality, upbringing, and emotional health. And while these can be true, they do not always explain why someone feels regret without a reason. Why would someone wake up feeling sorry for something that never happened? Why would someone feel the need to seek forgiveness they never needed? These questions make many people think about the soul's deeper history. Unexplained guilt can sometimes guide your behavior. It might make you kinder, more careful, or more understanding of others. In a way, it can push you toward growth, even if you do not know its full story. But it can also feel heavy if it is not understood. If you carry guilt or regret without knowing why, it can help to reflect on your feelings. Notice what moments or topics bring this emotion to the surface. You may start to see patterns that give you clues. Some people find comfort in creative expression, writing, art, or music, to release emotions that feel too deep for words. Others find peace in meditation or quiet moments of self-reflection. Unexplained guilt is not a sign that you have done something wrong in this life. It is a sign that your soul may still be carrying weight from the past. The important thing to remember is that you can release it. Whether or not you know where it comes from, you can still choose to forgive yourself. You can remind yourself that every life is a chance to grow and heal. So if you feel guilt or regret with no clear cause, pause and listen to it. It might be more than a random feeling. It might be your soul remembering something it is ready to make peace with. Strange pull towards certain countries or cities. Have you ever felt an unexplainable pull toward a country or city you have never been to? Maybe you see a picture of it and your heart feels warm. Maybe you hear its music or language and feel an instant connection. Sometimes just the thought of being there feels like coming home. Most people choose places to visit based on beauty, history, or popularity, but a strange pull is different. It feels personal, almost as if the place is calling to you. People who believe in past lives say this connection may be because your soul has lived there before. The memories of that life might still be inside you, drawing you back to that place. This feeling can appear in many ways. You might feel emotional when you see pictures of the place. You might feel a longing or sadness that you cannot explain. You might know things about the culture or streets without studying them. Sometimes you may even dream of walking through its roads or living among its people. Science explains this as personal taste, family history, or influence from books and films, and while these can be part of the answer, they do not always explain why someone feels deep connection to a place they have never experienced. Why would someone feel homesick for a city they have never visited? Why would someone feel peace when they arrive in a place they know nothing about? These questions make many think about the soul's connection to the world. Sometimes visiting the place can bring strong emotions. You might feel comfort, excitement, or even tears when you arrive. You might recognize streets, buildings, or natural landmarks, even though you have never seen them before in this life. This pull is not always about beauty or comfort. Sometimes the place might not be the safest or easiest to live in, yet something about it still calls to you. This could be because the connection is deeper than simple attraction. It is tied to your soul's memory. If you feel this strange pull, it can be meaningful to explore it. Read about the country or city, learn about its culture, traditions, and history. You may discover details that feel familiar or meaningful. Some people even find answers about themselves when they connect with a place their soul feels drawn to. Your pull toward a certain location might also connect you with people who feel familiar. You might form friendships or bonds with those from that place more easily, as if your paths are meant to cross again. So if you feel a deep connection to a country or city without any clear reason, pause for a moment. It might be more than simple curiosity. It might be your soul remembering a home it once had, calling you to remember the life you lived there. A sense of destiny or fate guiding you. Have you ever felt like your life is moving along a path that is already planned? Maybe you notice small events falling into place at just the right time. Maybe you meet people who change your direction in ways that feel meant to happen. This quiet sense that something bigger is guiding you can be both comforting and mysterious. Most people think life is shaped by their choices alone. And while choices matter, some moments feel too perfect or too strange to be random. These moments can make you feel like there is a purpose behind everything that happens. People who believe in past lives say this sense of destiny could come from plans the soul made before being born. The soul might have chosen certain lessons, people, or events to help it grow. This feeling can show up in different ways. You might feel pulled towards certain opportunities, even if they do not make sense at the time. You might meet someone who changes your life in an instant. You might find yourself in the right place at the right time, again and again. These moments can feel like signs pointing you toward your path. Science explains this as pattern seeking or coincidence, and while this is true for some situations, it does not always explain why the timing of events feels so precise for certain people. Why do certain chances appear exactly when they are needed? Why do some people feel like they are being guided toward a purpose? These questions make many think about destiny. A sense of fate can also help during hard times. Even when life feels difficult, there may be a quiet trust that things are unfolding as they are meant to. This trust can bring peace and patience, even in uncertainty. If you feel this sense of destiny, it can help to pay attention to the moments and people that stand out to you. Sometimes the signs are small, a conversation, a book, a sudden idea, but they can all be part of the path guiding you forward. Some people describe this feeling as walking on a road they cannot fully see, but knowing deep inside that they are moving in the right direction. This trust often grows stronger with time and experience. Your sense of destiny might also connect with your inner values or goals. You may feel that you are here to do something meaningful, even if you cannot explain exactly what it is yet. So if you feel like fate or destiny is guiding your steps, pause for a moment. It might be more than imagination. It might be your soul following a path it has chosen long before this life began. An intense connection to nature or animals. Have you ever felt a deep connection to nature or animals that goes beyond simple enjoyment? Maybe the sight of a forest, mountain, or ocean brings you peace in a way nothing else can. Maybe being near animals feels natural, as if you can understand them without words. This strong bond can feel calming, healing, and even familiar. Most people enjoy nature or feel kindness toward animals, but for some, the connection is much deeper. It feels almost like a friendship or a reunion with something they have known for a long time. People who believe in past lives say this connection could come from experiences the soul had before. Perhaps you lived close to nature in another life, or cared for animals in a way that left a lasting mark on your spirit. This bond can show itself in many ways. You might feel happiest when surrounded by trees, rivers, or open skies. You might feel strong emotions when you see harm done to nature or animals. You might find peace just by sitting outside or being near a pet. For some, this connection is so deep that they feel called to protect nature and care for animals. Science explains this as personality, upbringing, or the calming effect of the natural world. And while these are true, they do not always explain why some people feel such strong emotions in nature or with animals, even from a young age. Why would someone feel a deep love for a forest they have never visited? Why would someone feel comfort just by hearing the sound of waves or birds? These questions make many think about the soul's connection to the earth. Your connection to nature and animals may also bring balance to your life. Time outdoors or moments with animals can clear your mind and help you feel at peace. It may even feel like you're recharging your spirit. This bond can also guide the way you live. You may make choices that protect the environment or care for animals. You may feel drawn to work that keeps you close to nature, such as gardening, farming, or conservation. If you feel this deep connection, it can be helpful to spend time in places that feed your soul. Walk in nature, listen to the sounds around you, or spend time caring for animals. These moments may bring you closer to yourself and to the memories your soul carries. Your love for nature and animals can also remind you of the bigger picture. Life is connected in many ways, and your bond with the earth may be a sign that your soul understands this on a deep level. So if you feel a powerful connection to the natural world, pause for a moment. It might be more than just a love of beauty. It might be your soul remembering the harmony it once shared with the earth and its creatures, carrying that bond into this life. Unexplainable physical aches or pains. Have you ever felt pain or discomfort in your body without a clear cause? Maybe you experience aches that doctors cannot fully explain. Maybe the pain comes and goes or stays in the same place for years. This can be frustrating, especially when there is no medical reason behind it. Most physical pain has a clear source, an injury, illness, or strain. But unexplained aches are different. They appear without warning and sometimes fade just as mysteriously. People who believe in past lives say these pains could be linked to memories your body carries from another life. Perhaps you were injured in a past life, and your soul still holds the memory in your physical form. This can show up in many ways. You might have pain in the same spot again and again, even though it has never been hurt in this life. You might feel discomfort when you see or hear about certain injuries. You might notice that certain movements or places make the pain stronger, without reason. These sensations can feel strange and hard to understand. Science explains many aches as tension, stress, or even the mind's influence on the body. And while these are real, they do not always explain why certain pains remain in the same place for years without medical cause. Why would pain stay in a part of the body that is perfectly healthy? Why would certain triggers, like places or stories, make the pain stronger? These questions lead many to think about the soul's memory. Some people find that the pain eases when they address the possible emotional or spiritual cause. This can happen through meditation, gentle movement, or even simply becoming aware of the connection. Others find that the pain serves as a reminder, a sign of a lesson or story their soul carries forward. If you have unexplained aches or pains, it can help to pay attention to when they appear. Notice the situations, places, or feelings connected to them. These patterns may give you clues about what your body and soul are remembering. It is important to care for your body, even when the pain seems mysterious. Gentle self-care, healthy habits, and rest can help ease discomfort while you explore the deeper meaning. Unexplained pain can be a challenge, but it can also be a doorway to understanding yourself more deeply. It may be a sign that your soul has carried something forward from a life before this one. So if you feel pain without a clear reason, pause for a moment. It might be more than just your body reacting to the present. It might be your soul quietly remembering a story it has lived before. Feeling like you're living the same scenario again. Have you ever found yourself in a situation that feels strangely familiar, even though you know it is new? Maybe you are having a conversation and feel like you have said those words before. Maybe you're in a place you have never been, yet it feels like you have stood there in the same moment. This feeling can be strange, almost like time is repeating itself. Most people call this déjà vu, a sudden sense that you have lived this moment before. Usually it fades quickly, but for some it happens often, and the feeling is stronger. People who believe in past lives say this experience may be linked to memories the soul carries from before. The same emotions, choices, or events could be repeating in a new form, creating that strange sense of familiarity. This feeling can show up in many ways. You might meet someone new and feel like you already know how the conversation will go. You might walk into a room for the first time and somehow know its layout. You might experience events that feel like echoes of moments you cannot remember clearly. These moments can feel both unsettling and comforting at the same time. Science explains déjà vu as the brain processing information in a way that creates a false memory. And while this explains quick flashes, it does not always explain why certain moments feel emotionally or spiritually charged. Why would a completely new experience feel deeply connected to something you cannot remember? Why would the emotions of the moment feel so real, as if they belong to a memory? These questions lead many to think about the soul's experiences. Sometimes this repeated feeling can serve as a guide. You may feel more confident in decisions because the moment feels familiar, as if you have faced it before. You may also notice patterns in your life that seem to circle back, giving you a chance to respond differently. If you often feel like you are living the same scenario again, it can be helpful to pause and reflect. Ask yourself what emotions or lessons are tied to the moment. It could be that your soul is leading you toward growth or resolution. These moments can also remind you that life may be part of a larger cycle. Certain situations could repeat in different ways until the lesson is fully learned. So the next time you feel like you are living the same scenario again, pause for a moment. It might be more than a strange trick of the mind. It might be your soul remembering the path it has walked before, guiding you through a familiar moment once more. Recurring relationships across different stages of life. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to appear in your life more than once, even after time apart? Maybe you meet someone in childhood, lose touch for years, and then cross paths again as adults. Maybe a person keeps reappearing in different situations, always at moments that seem important. This pattern can feel meaningful, almost as if the connection is meant to continue. Most friendships and relationships change as life moves on, but recurring relationships are different. They return again and again, no matter how much time passes. People who believe in past lives say, this may happen because the soul shares a strong bond with certain other souls. These connections can continue across lifetimes, and they can keep finding ways to reconnect. This can show up in many ways. You might meet someone new only to realize later that they are connected to your past in surprising ways. You might keep running into the same person in unexpected places. You might find that old friends or partners return at turning points in your life. It can feel like there is an invisible thread pulling you back together. Science explains these connections as coincidence, shared social circles, or human nature. And while these are true, they do not always explain the deep sense of meaning these meetings bring. Why would the same people keep reappearing at important moments? Why would the connection feel just as strong, even after long gaps of time? These questions make many people think about the soul's journey with other souls. Sometimes recurring relationships teach important lessons. They may bring support, challenges, or growth that your soul needs at different points in life. Other times, they may feel like a reminder of unfinished stories or promises from before. If you notice the same people reappearing in your life, it can help to pay attention to what role they play each time. Are they here to teach something, to guide you, or to walk beside you for a part of the journey? Even if the reason is not clear, the connection itself can hold value. These recurring relationships can also bring comfort. They remind you that some bonds are strong enough to survive time, distance, and even change. So if certain people keep showing up in your life at different stages, pause for a moment. It might be more than coincidence. It might be a sign that your soul and theirs have met before and that your paths are meant to cross again and again. A natural resistance to certain situations. Have you ever felt an instant resistance to certain situations, even when there is no clear reason? Maybe a specific type of place makes you uneasy. Maybe a certain activity feels wrong, even if others enjoy it. Sometimes this reaction comes so naturally that you cannot explain where it comes from. It just feels deeply personal. Most people avoid things they dislike because of past experiences, but a natural resistance is different. It appears without any direct cause in this life. People who believe in past lives say this resistance may come from memories carried over from before. If your soul went through certain events in another life, it might be guiding you away from anything that feels too similar now. This can appear in many ways. You might feel nervous in a certain type of building or environment. You might avoid certain activities, even if they seem harmless. You might feel uncomfortable around certain kinds of people or conversations. The resistance can be subtle or strong, but it often feels automatic. Science explains these feelings as personality, instinct, or hidden memories. And while these are true in many cases, they do not always explain why someone reacts strongly to situations they have never faced before. Why would someone avoid something they have no reason to fear? Why would certain places or actions feel wrong for no clear cause? These questions lead many to think about the soul's past experiences. Sometimes this resistance serves as protection. It can keep you away from situations that might cause harm or bring back difficult emotions. Other times, it can be a sign of a lesson your soul is still working through. If you feel a strong resistance to something, it can help to notice the emotions that come with it. Is it fear, discomfort, sadness, or simply unease? These feelings might offer clues about the connection. You do not have to force yourself into situations that feel wrong, but paying attention to your reactions can help you understand yourself better. This resistance can also guide your choices in life. It might push you away from certain paths while leading you towards safer or more fulfilling ones. In this way, it can be seen as a quiet form of wisdom from your soul. So if you feel a natural resistance to certain situations, pause for a moment. It might be more than just preference. It might be your soul quietly remembering what it has faced before, helping you choose your path with care. Feeling out of place in the modern world. Have you ever felt like you do not fully fit in with the world around you? Maybe modern life feels too fast, too loud, or too focused on things that do not matter to you. Maybe you feel like your heart belongs to a different time, even if you cannot explain why. This sense of being out of place can follow you quietly through life. Most people adjust to the time they are born in, even if they dislike parts of it. But feeling out of place is different. It feels as if your soul remembers a way of life that no longer exists. People who believe in past lives say this may happen because you lived in a different era that felt more natural to you. Your soul might miss the simplicity, values, or pace of that time. This feeling can appear in many ways. You might prefer older music, clothing, or traditions. You might feel more comfortable in nature than in busy cities. You might struggle to understand trends or technology that others enjoy. It can sometimes feel like you are walking through a world that was not built for you. Science explains this as nostalgia, personality, or preference. And while these are true, they do not always explain why some people feel a deep longing for a time they never lived in. Why would someone feel homesick for an era they have only read about? Why would someone feel more at peace when surrounded by things from the past? These questions make many think about the soul's memory of earlier lives. Feeling out of place can sometimes bring challenges. It can be hard to connect with others who do not share your sense of the world. But it can also bring strength because you may carry values or perspectives that are rare today. If you feel this way, it can help to create spaces in your life that feel right for you. This could mean surrounding yourself with objects, music, or traditions from the time that feels more natural. It could also mean spending time with people who appreciate your perspective. Your sense of being out of place can also guide you. It might lead you toward work, hobbies, or environments where you feel more at peace. Over time, you may find ways to blend the best parts of the modern world with the deeper values you carry. So if you feel out of place in the modern world, pause for a moment. It might be more than discomfort with the present. It might be your soul remembering a life where you felt more at home and carrying that memory into today. The sense that you already know the outcome of events. Have you ever experienced a strong feeling that you already know how something will turn out? Maybe you sense the ending of a conversation before it happens. Maybe you feel certain about the results of a situation even before any signs appear. This quiet certainty can be strange, especially when it proves to be correct. Most people make guesses based on logic or experience. But the sense of already knowing is different. It feels less like a guess and more like a memory of something that has not yet happened. People who believe in past lives say this could be because your soul has walked similar paths before. You may have faced the same types of events in other lives, so the patterns are familiar to you now. This feeling can show up in many ways. You might meet two people and know instantly whether they will get along. You might start a project and already sense whether it will succeed or fail. You might see a choice ahead and feel certain about the result even without proof. These moments can feel natural, as if you are remembering the end of a story you have already read. Science explains this as intuition, subconscious observation, or the brain noticing patterns. And while these are true, they do not always explain why some people are right again and again without clear evidence. Why would someone sense the outcome of events they have no control over? Why would the feeling arrive so suddenly, without any warning? These questions make many think about the soul's deeper knowledge. Sometimes this sense can be helpful. It can guide you toward better decisions or warn you to avoid harmful situations. At other times, it can feel like a heavy responsibility. Knowing how things may end can make it hard to simply enjoy the moment. If you feel this way, it can help to listen carefully to your instincts. While it is important not to let fear control you, your inner sense may be pointing toward valuable truths. This knowing can also bring comfort in uncertain times. When the path ahead feels unclear, a quiet sense of the outcome can give you peace and patience. So if you often feel like you already know how events will end, pause for a moment. It might be more than just a good guess. It might be your soul remembering the patterns it has seen before, guiding you toward what comes next. Sudden, intense emotional changes without reason. Have you ever felt your emotions change suddenly, with no clear reason? Maybe you feel a rush of sadness out of nowhere. Maybe you feel joy that seems to appear from deep inside. These emotional shifts can be surprising, especially when they are not connected to anything happening in the present moment. Most people experience emotions in response to events around them, but sudden, intense changes are different. They feel as if they come from somewhere deeper, almost like a memory rising to the surface. People who believe in past lives say these emotions may be echoes from other times your soul has lived. A certain smell, sound, or situation might trigger a memory your mind can't see, but your heart can still feel. This can appear in many ways. You might feel sadness in a place you have never been before. You might feel strong happiness when hearing certain music or seeing certain colors. You might feel anger, fear, or peace without knowing why. These emotions can arrive quickly and fade just as suddenly, leaving you wondering what caused them. Science explains mood changes as the result of stress, hormones, or hidden thoughts. And while these are true, they do not always explain why specific emotions appear with such intensity at random times. Why would someone feel grief in a place they have never visited? Why would joy arrive so strongly without any reason at all? These questions make many think about the soul's emotional memory. Sometimes these sudden changes can be a message. They may point to lessons or memories your soul is still carrying. Other times, they may simply be reminders of the deep emotional life your soul has experienced over many lifetimes. If you notice these changes in yourself, it can help to pause and notice what is happening around you. Was there a sound, smell, or sight just before the emotion began? Paying attention to these moments might give you clues about where the feelings are coming from. It is also important to be gentle with yourself when these emotions arrive. Sudden shifts can be confusing, but they are also a sign that your heart is deeply connected to the world around you. Over time, you may begin to see patterns. Certain places, people, or experiences might trigger similar emotions again and again. These patterns could hold meaning for your soul's journey. So if you experience sudden emotional changes without reason, pause for a moment. It might be more than random mood swings. It might be your soul remembering feelings it has carried across time, reminding you of the depth within you. Feeling like you're here to complete something unfinished. Have you ever felt like your life has a quiet mission you cannot fully name? Maybe you feel a strong pull toward a certain goal, even if you do not know where it comes from. Maybe there is a constant sense that something important is waiting for you to complete it. This feeling can stay with you for years, guiding your choices and energy. Most people set goals based on dreams, needs, or opportunities in the present, but the feeling of needing to finish something is different. It feels older, as if it began long before this life. People who believe in past lives say this may be because your soul started a journey before and is now returning to finish it. It might be a promise, a dream, or a lesson that was left incomplete in another life. This feeling can appear in many ways. You might be drawn to certain types of work or art without knowing why. You might feel a deep responsibility toward a cause or group of people. You might sense that your purpose is bigger than what you can see right now. These feelings can be hard to explain, but they often carry a strong sense of importance. Science explains this as motivation shaped by personality, values, or environment. And while these are true, they do not always explain why someone feels so strongly connected to a purpose they cannot clearly describe. Why would someone feel pulled toward a mission they cannot trace to their current life? Why would someone feel an unfinished task weighing on them without knowing its details? These questions make many think about the soul's work across lifetimes. Sometimes the sense of an unfinished task can bring direction. It can give you energy to keep moving forward, even when the path is unclear. Other times it can create restlessness, as if you are searching for something you cannot yet find. If you feel this way, it can help to listen closely to your heart. Notice the activities, people, or places that make you feel alive and purposeful. These moments may be guiding you toward the task your soul feels called to complete. This sense of purpose may also show up in small signs. Certain opportunities may appear at just the right time. Certain people may enter your life to help you along the way. Each step may feel like part of a larger story that your soul is continuing. So if you feel like you are here to complete something unfinished, pause for a moment. It might be more than ambition. It might be your soul remembering a promise it made long ago, returning now to see it through. Hearing voices or music with no source. Have you ever heard a voice call your name but no one was there? Or maybe you have heard soft music, almost like it is coming from a distance even though the room was silent. These moments can feel strange and hard to explain. Most people expect sounds to have a clear source. A voice comes from a person, music comes from an instrument, a phone or a radio, but sometimes the sound appears from nowhere. People who believe in past lives say these sounds could be memories. They may be echoes from another time your soul has lived, finding their way into the present moment. This can appear in many ways. You might hear a soft voice that feels familiar, even though you cannot place it. You might hear a song you have never heard before, yet it feels comforting. You might hear sounds in moments of quiet, almost like the past is whispering to you. These sounds often come quickly, fading as soon as you notice them. Science explains strange sounds as the mind playing tricks, stress, or even the brain remembering a sound at the wrong time. And while these reasons are real, they do not always explain why some people hear specific voices or music that seem deeply personal. Why would someone hear a melody they have never learned? Why would a voice feel so familiar, even though it does not belong to anyone in their life now? These questions lead many to think about the soul's memory of sound. Sometimes these sounds can carry comfort. They might bring a feeling of safety, like a reminder that you are not alone. Other times, they can spark curiosity, making you wonder about the story behind them. If you hear voices or music with no clear source, it can help to notice when it happens. Are you in a certain place? Are you feeling a certain way? These patterns may be small clues about where the sound comes from. You do not need to be afraid of these moments. They are often brief and gentle, almost like a soft connection between your life now and a life before. So if you hear voices or music without a source, pause for a moment. It might be more than your imagination. It might be your soul remembering a sound it once knew well, echoing softly into the present. Feeling timeless connections with certain objects. Have you ever held an object and felt a strange connection to it? Maybe it was an old piece of jewelry, a book, or a small trinket. The moment you touched it, you felt something familiar, as if the object carried a piece of your story. Most people value objects because of memories made in this life. But a timeless connection is different. It feels older, as if the bond began long before you were born. People who believe in past lives say certain objects may carry energy that connects to your soul. These could be items you once owned in another life, or objects that were part of a world you lived in before. This feeling can show up in many ways. You might find comfort in an old item, even though you do not know its history. You might feel drawn to antiques, artifacts, or objects from a specific time period. You might hold an item and feel emotions or memories you cannot explain. These connections can feel quiet yet powerful. Science explains these feelings as nostalgia, imagination, or simple personal taste. And while these reasons can be true, they do not always explain the deep emotional bonds some people feel with objects they have never seen before. Why would someone feel peace holding an old key or a faded letter? Why would certain objects seem to spark feelings that do not belong to this life? These questions lead many to think about the soul's memory and connection to things it once cherished. Sometimes these objects bring comfort, almost like a familiar friend. Other times they can spark curiosity about the life they came from. If you notice a deep connection to an object, it can be helpful to pause and appreciate the feeling. The connection may hold meaning even if you never learn its full story. These moments can also remind you that the soul's journey may leave traces in unexpected places. The object may be a quiet link between who you were and who you are now. So if you feel a timeless connection with the certain objects, pause for a moment. It might be more than simple admiration. It might be your soul recognizing something it once knew, holding on to a piece of its own history. Experiencing time slowing down in certain moments. Have you ever had a moment that felt like time slowed down? Maybe you were in a quiet place looking at the sky or standing in nature, and everything felt still. Or maybe it happened during an important event, where each second felt longer than usual. These moments can feel strange, peaceful, and unforgettable. Most people move through time at the same pace every day, but sometimes time feels different. It stretches, slows, or almost stops. This experience can feel magical, as if the moment is holding you in place for a reason. People who believe in past lives say this may happen when your soul recognizes something important. It could be a place and a person, or an experience that connects to a memory from before. In these moments, the soul becomes fully aware, and time feels different. This can appear in many ways. You might stand somewhere and feel as if you have been there before, and time pauses. You might meet someone, and the first few moments feel long and deep. You might experience a calm silence where everything around you slows down. These moments can be rare but powerful. Science explains this as the brain focusing more strongly, making each detail feel more vivid. And while this is true, it does not always explain why these moments feel meaningful, almost like they are part of something greater. Why would time slow in certain places or with certain people? Why would these moments stay in your memory long after they pass? These questions make many think about the soul's awareness in special moments. Sometimes time slowing down can be a sign that you are exactly where you are meant to be. It can bring clarity, calmness, or a deep sense of connection. If you notice time slowing in your life, it can help to pay attention to what is happening around you. Who are you with? Where are you standing? What feelings are rising? These moments might carry messages for your journey. Time slowing down can also bring comfort. In a busy world, it feels like a reminder that not every moment should be rushed. Some moments are meant to be felt fully. So if you experience time slowing down in certain moments, pause for a moment. It might be more than just focus. It might be your soul recognizing something important, holding you in a moment that matters. Unusual reactions to historical art or artifacts. Have you ever stood in front of a piece of historical art or an old artifact and felt a sudden wave of emotion? Maybe you felt tears in your eyes even though you did not know why. Maybe your heart raced, or you felt a strange sense of calm. These reactions can be surprising, especially when the artwork or object has no direct link to your life today. Most people admire historical pieces for their beauty, skill, or story. But an unusual reaction feels different. It feels personal, as if the object or art is speaking directly to you. People who believe in past lives say this may happen because your soul remembers these objects. You may have seen them before, created them, or lived in the time they were made. This can appear in many ways. You might feel sadness when looking at a painting as if you know the story behind it. You might feel peace when holding or standing near an ancient object. You might feel a strange pull towards certain art styles or artifacts from a specific culture. These feelings often appear without warning and can be intense. Science explains these emotions as the power of art, human imagination, or the brain reacting to beauty and history. And while these reasons are true, they do not always explain why certain pieces affect some people far more than others. Why would one specific statue or painting feel like it holds part of your own story? Why would a simple artifact bring emotions that feel deeper than the present? These questions lead many to think about the soul's memory of the past. Sometimes these unusual reactions can bring a sense of connection. They can make you feel closer to a time or place you never visited in this life. If you notice these reactions, it can help to reflect on what the object or art represents. Is it from a time period you feel drawn to? Does it carry symbols or colors that stir emotions? These clues might tell you more about why it feels meaningful. Unusual reactions to historical pieces can also remind you that beauty and memory may be linked. What moves your heart today might be tied to what your soul experienced long ago. So if you feel strong emotions when you see historical art or artifacts, pause for a moment. It might be more than admiration. It might be your soul remembering something it once loved, created, or lived alongside. Feeling like you are being guided by an unseen force. Have you ever felt like something unseen is quietly leading you? Maybe you make a choice without knowing why, and it turns out to be the best decision. Maybe you avoid a situation for no clear reason, only to find out later it was the right move. These moments can feel as if there is an invisible guide walking with you. Most people make choices through thinking, planning, and logic. But feeling guided by an unseen force is different. It feels like a gentle push in the right direction, even when you cannot explain where it comes from. People who believe in past lives say this may be your soul's wisdom, or even the help of a spiritual guide, carrying lessons and protection from lifetimes before. This guidance can appear in many ways. You might feel a sudden urge to go somewhere, and it leads you to an important event. You might sense you should wait before taking action, and later realize it saved you trouble. You might meet someone at the perfect moment, almost as if it was arranged. These moments often feel more than coincidence. Science explains this as intuition, experience, or chance, and while these ideas are real, they do not always explain why some choices feel as if they are being gently directed from beyond. Why would you feel guided toward one path without evidence? Why would certain moments in life feel almost planned? These questions lead many to believe in the presence of unseen guidance. Sometimes this force can bring comfort. It can make you feel you are not alone even during hard times. Other times it can spark curiosity about who or what is guiding you. If you feel guided, it can help to pay attention to these moments. Notice when you have a strong inner pull towards something. Notice when things fall into place without much effort. These may be signs of guidance at work. Feeling guided by an unseen force can also remind you that your journey might be connected to something bigger than the present moment. Your life may be part of a larger path, shaped by lessons you have carried over time. So if you feel like you are being guided by an unseen force, pause for a moment. It might be more than chance. It might be your whole or something greater, leading you exactly where you are meant to go. Flashes of places you've never visited in waking life. Have you ever seen a place in your mind that feels completely real even though you have never been there? Maybe it appears in a dream, in a quiet moment, or suddenly during the day. The details might be so clear that you can almost smell the air, feel the ground, or hear the sounds. These flashes can be powerful and hard to forget. Most people picture places they have visited or seen in photos, but flashes of unknown places feel different. They carry a strange sense of familiarity, as if your soul has walked there before. People who believe in past lives say these visions might be memories from other lifetimes. Your soul could be showing you pieces of the world it once knew. This can appear in many ways. You might see an old street with buildings you cannot name. You might see a coastline, forest, or city that feels like home, even though it is far away. You might picture rooms, gardens, or landmarks that you have never stepped into in this life. These flashes can appear suddenly and fade just as quickly. Science explains this as imagination, dreams, or the brain combining images it has seen before. And while this is possible, it does not always explain why these places feel so familiar and real to some people. Why would you feel homesick for a place you have never visited? Why would certain images of unknown places bring comfort or emotion? These questions lead many to think about the soul's memory of its past surroundings. Sometimes these flashes can bring inspiration. They can make you want to travel, explore, or learn more about different cultures and places. Other times they can simply bring peace, like a reminder of a home you once knew. If you experience flashes of unknown places, it can help to notice the details. What do you see? Are there colors, sounds, or shapes that stand out? These clues might connect to a specific time or place from your soul's history. These moments can also remind you that the soul's journey may stretch across many places and lifetimes. What you see today might be a small piece of a much bigger story. So if you see flashes of places you have never visited, pause for a moment. It might be more than your imagination. It might be your soul showing you a glimpse of somewhere it has been before. Sudden knowledge of ancient customs or rituals. Have you ever found yourself knowing how to do something old without learning it? Maybe you understand a cultural practice, a way of greeting, or a type of ceremony that you have never studied. The knowledge feels natural, as if it has always been with you. Most people learn customs and rituals from their family, culture, or studies. But sudden knowledge feels different. It comes from within, without effort, almost like a memory waiting to surface. People who believe in past lives say this may be knowledge carried over from another time. You might have lived in a culture where these customs were part of your daily life. This can appear in many ways. You might know the steps of a dance you never learned. You might understand the meaning of a traditional gesture or symbol. You might feel comfortable with old traditions as if they belong to you. These moments can feel both surprising and natural. Science explains this as coincidence, exposure through media, or random memory. And while these ideas can be true, they do not always explain why some people feel such deep familiarity with customs they have never studied. Why would someone know how to perform a ritual perfectly the first time? Why would certain traditions feel like second nature, even without any teaching? These questions make many think about the soul's ability to remember from before. Sometimes, this sudden knowledge can bring a sense of belonging. It can make you feel connected to a culture or community, even if it is far from where you live now. If you notice this in yourself, it can help to pay attention to when it happens. What customs or rituals feel easy to you? What emotions do they bring? These may be clues about the life where you first learned them. Sudden knowledge of ancient customs can also remind you that learning does not always begin in the present. Some lessons may have been carried within your soul for a long time, ready to return when needed. So if you find yourself knowing old customs or rituals without being taught, pause for a moment. It might be more than a lucky guess. It might be your soul remembering what it once practiced, bringing that knowledge into your life today. Unexplainable pull towards certain professions or roles. Have you ever felt drawn to a certain type of work or role without knowing why? Maybe you have always imagined yourself as a healer, a teacher, an artist, or a leader. Even if your life now is far from that role, the idea feels natural and familiar, almost like something you have done before. Most people choose jobs or roles based on skill, opportunity, or interest. But an unexplainable pull feels different. It feels like your soul is being called back to work it has done before. People who believe in past lives say this may be because your soul remembers the responsibilities, skills, and purpose of these roles from a lifetime before. This can appear in many ways. You might feel comfortable imagining yourself in a role you have never trained for. You might feel inspired by stories of people who work in a certain profession. You might feel that a certain type of work has meaning for you, even without experience. These feelings often appear early in life and may stay with you for years. Science explains these pulls as personality, influence, or exposure to certain ideas. And while this is true, it does not always explain why some people feel a lifelong draw to work they have never seen or done in this life. Why would someone dream of being a healer without ever seeing one? Why would someone feel called to lead or teach without any reason? These questions lead many to think about the soul's connection to roles it has known before. Sometimes this pull can guide you to choices that bring purpose. It can give you direction when you're searching for meaning in your life. If you feel this pull, it can help to notice the types of roles that make you feel alive or comfortable. They may connect to something your soul remembers well. An unexplainable pull toward a certain profession can also remind you that your purpose may stretch beyond this life. The work you are drawn to now may be part of a much longer journey of learning, service, or creation. So if you feel called to a certain role without clear reason, pause for a moment. It might be more than interest. It might be your soul remembering the work it has done before, ready to continue it in this life. Feeling homesick for a place you cannot name. Have you ever felt homesick, but you are not sure for where? It is not for the house you live in now or the town you grew up in. It feels deeper, almost like a longing for a place you cannot see or describe. This feeling can appear suddenly and stay with you for a long time. Most people feel homesick for places they know, but this type of homesickness feels different. It is for somewhere unknown, yet familiar to the soul. People who believe in past lives say this may be because your soul remembers a home from another lifetime. That home may have been a city, a village, or even a world very different from the one you live in now. This feeling can appear in many ways. You might feel comfort when you see a certain type of landscape. You might feel peaceful when you hear a certain language or music. You might feel longing when you see pictures of places you have never been. The feeling is strong, even if you cannot explain it. Science explains this as imagination, emotional need, or a response to certain images and sounds. And while this is possible, it does not always explain why the feeling can be so powerful and personal. Why would someone miss a place they cannot even name? Why would certain scenes or sounds feel like home without any connection in this life? These questions lead many to think about the soul's memory of home. Sometimes this homesickness can bring comfort, as if your soul is reminding you of where it has been. Other times it can bring longing, as if a part of you is waiting to return. If you feel this way, it can help to notice what triggers it. Is it a certain type of sky, building, or music? These may be small hints about the place your soul remembers. Feeling homesick for an unknown place can also remind you that your journey may be bigger than one lifetime. You may have left pieces of yourself in other worlds, places, and times. So if you feel homesick for a place you cannot name, pause for a moment. It might be more than a dream. It might be your soul remembering a home it once knew, calling out softly across time. Unusual comfort in situations that are new to you. Have you ever walked into a completely new situation and felt surprisingly at ease? It could be your first time in a certain type of place, meeting certain people, or trying something you have never done before. Instead of feeling nervous or out of place, you feel calm and comfortable, almost like you have been there before. Most people feel unsure or awkward in new situations, but unusual comfort feels different. It is as if your soul already knows what to do, even without practice or experience. People who believe in past lives say, this may happen when your soul remembers something from before. You may have lived through a similar situation in another life, which is why it feels so natural now. This comfort can appear in many ways. You might walk into a room full of strangers and feel instantly at ease. You might start a new activity and feel like you already know the steps. You might travel to a new place and feel as if you belong there. These moments can be surprising, but they also feel natural. Science explains this as confidence, personality, or hidden skills, and while this can be true, it does not always explain why comfort appears in places or situations that should feel unfamiliar. Why would someone feel so calm in a place they have never seen? Why would certain situations feel like home from the very first moment? These questions lead many to think about the soul's connection to past experiences. Sometimes, this comfort can guide you toward paths you are meant to follow. It can point you toward people, places, and experiences that connect to your deeper journey. If you notice unusual comfort in a new situation, it can help to pause and observe. What is happening around you? Who is present? These moments may hold clues to something your soul already knows. Unusual comfort in new situations can also remind you that not every new step is truly new. Some steps may be part of a path your soul has walked before, so if you feel at ease in situations that are new to you, pause for a moment. It might be more than confidence. It might be your soul settling into a familiar moment, continuing a journey that began long ago.